I'm Sean Meyers, joined by Ron Prady, the second-year head coach for Greater Latrobe here on Westmoreland on the Gridiron. And first off, Ron, congratulations on securing a playoff spot for the second time in as many years guiding this program. I know that's a big accomplishment. It certainly was last year. You went on to win a playoff game. What have you seen in terms of steps forward this year in 2023, taking that next step from where you left off a year ago?
I think we've seen a lot of maturity out of our kids. We had a lot of kids played last year that were sophomores, and a bunch of juniors and even some freshmen. So I think they're understanding of the offense and the defense and how we do things, how we prepare. We're full this year, and there's interest in the program. The numbers are up, so all of those things I think have gone into any success that we've had.
Well, let's talk about last week against Connellsville in particular. You win 50-28 against the Falcons. I know that your defense has really clamped down on opponents previously. This time it felt like the offense came through in a big, big way. What were your biggest takeaways from that game?
I think it was the offense. I think we scored, every possession that we had in the game. So, we were able to run some 2-minute stuff right before the half, which was beneficial to us. And, we got a field goal with about 3 seconds left. So, the offense and Johnny Wetzel in particular, and the way he not manages the game, but kind of took over the game a little bit, had 4 touchdowns and 2 passing touchdowns, both to Jaton, who's, has been explosive for us all year. Brady Prohovic ran the ball well. And I think our offensive line did a great job. And, so we were pretty happy, offensively. Certainly areas this week, like you said, our defense had been kind of carrying us for the last 4 or 5 weeks, and a little chink in the armor, I guess, this week. But we'll get back at it and try to get better.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about John Wetzel. He played a lot last year as a sophomore, and he was a little bit more of a game manager at times. Now, there were games where he excelled. It seems like he has really taken some massive strides this year because he's putting up monster numbers as a passer and a rusher. What are the biggest areas in his development?
I think his maturity, his comfort level at the position, understanding the offense, understanding what we want to do. And the biggest thing is he's limited turnovers. I think he's thrown, 2 interceptions on the year. So that's huge for us. And John is able to run the ball. He's able to obviously, throw the ball well too. So he's, the true dual threat and a guy that we rely on and will continue to rely on.
Well, a guy that John Wetzel relies upon is Jaton Williams because he's been an explosive player, a receiver, but a guy who also has gotten it done on defense and in particular special teams. How has he been such an impact player, and how does he have such a knack for getting those big plays, it seems like, each and every week?
Well, that's the thing. I think, those guys have played basketball together a lot of years too. So that kind of that Wetzel to Williams pass, I've seen that on the basketball court quite a few times too. But Jaton has a knack for getting open. He, he's a great route runner, and his hands, he's always had the ability to go get the ball and make plays. And then I think his elusiveness and his explosion after the catch is big too. But the biggest thing, I think there is that comfort level between those two. And, another year in the system, and they've certainly grown.
Well, another player who has certainly grown, I think probably the headliner for Greater Latrobe, certainly if you follow high school football recruiting, is Alex Tash. And he's really blown up in terms of the collegiate interest over the past handful of weeks. Seems like every day almost there's a new offer coming in. How has he put himself on the map as one of the best players in the state among the junior class?
Well, I think, number one is his size and his length. He's got long arms. He's 6'3", about 212 pounds or so. Just very violent when he gets there. The explosion and his love for the game. Alex works his tail off along with, a lot of our other guys, but he puts extra work in, all off season to better himself. And you say it seems like just about every day. Well, this morning he picked up pit offer too. So, they do keep coming in, and it's well deserved. Like I said, he works his tail off, and we're really proud of Alex and what he's accomplished this far.
Well, I know during your time at Penn Trafford, there were some highly recruited guys. I think back to Cade Yakimelli, your final year there. He was committed to Wisconsin and is still with the Badgers. Is it in any way a distraction for not just the player getting the offers, but some of the teammates as well? And as a coach, how do you try to navigate that?
Yeah, I think it hasn't been a distraction for us. And with Cade, it wasn't either. We've had other guys at Penn Trafford too pick up offers throughout the season. And, and they're both very humble. Alex and Cade was too. So that helps. Their humility doesn't let it become a problem for our team. And our guys are all happy for him. There's no jealousy or no animosity at all. I think our entire community, our entire school, our entire staff is very proud of Alex and happy for him.
I mentioned that you're riding a 4-game winning streak. That came after you dropped your conference opener against Thomas Jefferson, which I think most people would say that's one of the best teams in 4A. And we're going to talk about another outstanding 4A opponent upcoming in just a little bit. But over the past month, 4 consecutive wins and pretty impressive in doing so. What have been some of the biggest keys?
Well, up until this week, like I said, we played pretty good defense for 3 of those 4. And, our offense has come along and I thought gotten better each week. And it's not just Jaton and John. Brady Prohovic has run the ball really well. Alex carries the ball some too. And Chris Cochran and Jack Drenovich, those guys, Ben Stratton, they've all for us with the ball in our hands. And I think the growth of our offensive line in the last month is for us. We have some young guys playing up front, and with the more experience they've gotten and the reps that they see on Friday nights, I think they've grown a ton. So, that's been great for us.
So against Connellsville, as we mentioned, you had an offensive outburst. Was that something that you saw in particular where you could exploit their defense, or is it just a matter of guys making plays that sort of have been there to be made all season long?
Well, one, we limited penalties, which has been a continuous problem for us, and not getting behind the sticks and facing 1st and 20, which is tough for anybody, really helped this week. We didn't have any holds. 1 or 2 false starts that we were kind of able to overcome, but eliminating those penalties and those mistakes, I thought was a big plus for us and something that we're going to have to continue to do. Along with our offensive line growing. So, we expected to be able to put up some points, but I don't know if we thought 50. But the execution of our guys on offense was really good this week, and hopefully that continues.
So with the victory, you get the playoff clincher. Was that something that you realized immediately afterwards? Was there a bit of a celebration for the team, or how was the news broken and how did everyone react to it?
I don't know that we knew until a day later or 2. Like I think I told you before, we just kind of try to focus on what's in front of us. And, I figured if at that point with 1 loss, there was a pretty good chance that we were in, but not until Saturday or Sunday did I know for sure. So no, there was no real celebration. Our guys are humble and they're focused on the task at hand and, trying to prepare for McKeesport.
So you're in the playoffs, but I know that you don't just want to settle for being in the playoffs because you can really impact your seeding this upcoming week when you go against the Tigers. Is it pretty easy at this point to make sure the team continues to be motivated and wants to take it a step further?
Well, I think so. I don't know that we have to motivate them this week, although we understand the huge challenge that McKeesport presents. They're just so consistent year in and year out, and kind of program that we'd like to become. That and what they do offensively and their speed on defense, all that goes in. I think our kids will be focused on that rather than anything else.
Going against McKeesport always presents a unique challenge, in particular, not just because they're a great team, but because they're a lot of throwback style approach on offense, I would say. They run the flex bone. They have multiple guys who are ball carriers at any potential play. How much of a challenge is that for you defensively to prepare for something that you probably don't see the rest of the year?
Yeah, it's the only time we're going to see it all year. And it makes it tough because now they're doing so much more other than just, their traditional offense. They moved the big kid to fullback and they kind of got in a double tight in the eye a little bit, and he ran the ball. And I think he's 250 255, something like that. So they're doing a lot of other things too besides what they traditionally do, which was hard enough to prepare for. You have to be disciplined. You have to, play assignment football, all the things that people say about McKeesport. But the toughest thing to do is to match them up front. They're big and they're powerful when they get off the ball, and they play low up front. So that's the biggest challenge, I think, for us.
I know that when I saw McKeesport a year ago, I thought they were one of the most impressive teams I saw all season long. They did graduate some really good players from last year's team, but it seems like somehow, some way, they've replaced them almost seamlessly. And a freshman named Connellsville has been a big part of that. I know he's got some hype as one of the best freshmen in the entire state at this point. I know it's kind of ridiculous to talk about ninth graders in those terms, but it seems like he might be one of the best for a long time to come. What does he do well, and how do you have to kind of limit and combat what he can provide?
Yeah, all the accolades he's getting is certainly well deserved. He's explosive. He's big for a freshman. He's quick. He's just a downhill runner that can make you miss a little bit. And his brother is the one they moved to fullback. Was playing tight end. He's the one that ran for 200 last week. Like I said, he's enormous. And then you throw his younger brother, the freshman, back there. They have so many weapons, not just those guys, but some receivers. They just have guys on the field that are capable of killing you. And it's just so tough to defend. But we're going to give it our best.
Do you think back to your time at Penn Trafford, going against McKeesport and having some of those good matchups, and reflect on what worked well and what didn't against the Tigers, and then try to apply that now in your second year, seeing them at Greater Latrobe?
Well, yeah, again, any success we had at Penn Trafford was because we were able to match them up front, the physicality. And that's something, we worked hard in the off season, was to try to get bigger and more physical. So we're going to see if that pays any dividends, but we try to replicate some of the things we did there, but we're not Penn Trafford, and our staff's different, and our players are different. So there are certainly little things that we might try to do, but I think we have some of our own wrinkles too.
Now, I talk to you every week doing a preview for the Latrobe Bulletin, and you're pretty consistent in what you say, but I still have to ask, what are the biggest keys for success against the Tigers?
Well, I think, I might throw you off here, but I think we need to not turn the ball over. Eliminate penalties, and a fast start would help. With these guys, if you get behind, a couple scores early, it's tough to keep up with them. And then that offense gets rolling, they get momentum on defense, and then you're kind of in trouble. So, we need a fast start. We need maybe a stop here or a score here to kind of stay in the game. And it's going to be a challenge, and we recognize that, but we're looking forward to it.
Well, Ron, I appreciate the time as always, and we're looking forward to seeing the Wildcats in the playoffs once again. But I know you got a big one in front of you, so good luck against McKeesport on Friday as well.
Thank you, Sean.
That is Ron Prady, the head coach for Greater Latrobe. We'll take a break and continue with Westmoreland on the Gridiron right here on WSN.